So this week I thought I'd focus on Mateus Asato's use of slides in his improvisation. Now these are really fun techniques actually. It's a great way of putting lyricism into your playing, and he's a very lyrical guitarist, so it's not surprising that this is a technique he uses all the time. So what I thought I'd do is run through 3 or 4 different approaches, different ways of using slides in improvisations, and give you some ideas about how to practice these so you can bring them into your own playing. But what I thought I'd do is start with a really subtle one. Now this is a technique that I really like to use myself. It's one of those techniques that people don't necessarily notice you're using because it is so subtle. But like I say, it's a great way of just adding a little decoration to a note. Let's have a go. Okay, so the first technique I want to show you is really quite a subtle one. In fact, you may not have even noticed him doing it until you start to look for it, but it's this. Okay, like I say, it's really subtle. It's also something that I've seen Rick Graham do as well. And what are we doing? Well, we're playing a note with my 3rd finger, then I'm pulling off to my 1st finger, and then I'm sliding to that original note again in one movement. I tend to always start with my 3rd finger, but it could be, if it's a semitone movement, I may pull off to my 2nd finger. It's also a really good way of working your way up the neck, changing position. Yeah, and that's actually a good way of practicing this movement. Just pick a scale and see if you can work your way up it. So I'm in A minor. So this concept of using decorations on notes is something that's really important to him, and you see him doing it all the time actually, specifically the next technique. So let's drill in and I'll demonstrate it. So another decoration I see him doing all the time is just a little 1-fret slide like this. So all I'm doing is playing the note, sliding up to the fret above and then backing down again. And I'll use any finger for this. And actually a good way of practicing this is just seeing if you can make your way across the neck on a scale. Something like that, and if you can get that nice and smooth, then that's really going to help you with this technique. The other thing he'll do is thirds as well. So if you watched my video last week, you'll remember I talked about how to create thirds and sixths. Again, that's something else that he'll do. So double stops, and again, any finger, any double stop. So we've been talking about using slides as a decoration on a note, but he also uses it to bring out melody lines as well, which is really quite fun. Again, you really need a really kind of a light, accurate touch to do this, which makes it a little bit more difficult than the other 2 techniques, but let's drill in and I'll give you some examples of it. And then, of course, he likes to bring out melodies just using slides. So again, you need to be reasonably quite accurate with your targeting. You need a light, fast movement. So you need to get to that next note as quickly as you can with that slide. And just see if we can keep the melody going. So again, a good way of practicing this is working your way up and down a scale, or just making a melody up on one string. And just see how long you can keep that note going for. And finally, one of the things he really likes to do is to combine techniques. So he'll use slides in conjunctions with other techniques as well. And so what I thought I'd do is show you how he'd use slides with bends, for example. Let's do that. So finally, I see him combining bends and slides as well, and you can do that with all 3 of the techniques I showed earlier as well. So if you take that first one, which is that play a note, and then slide to it. So instead of sliding to that note, we bend to it. Yeah. So, and that's a technique actually I see Steve Morse doing as well. And the second one, you can start with the bend and then use a little slide to decorate as you relax that bend. Again, that's quite common, I've seen him do that a lot. And then finally, if you're pulling a melody together, he'll slide and bend at the same time. Yeah. Which is quite fun. So that's it. Hopefully that was useful for you, and we'll chat next time. Goodbye.